These days, I would say, the pressure we feel is mostly about wanting to make something that feels uniquely us, like something that just feels as close to something that only we could make.
Well, thanks for tuning in once again at Sense Music Media. Today we are being joined by Tim from a little band you might know called OK Go. Tim, what's been happening?
Hey, well, just in the middle of rehearsals right now. We're headed out on tour next week. We start in the Midwest here in the United States. So yeah, we've just been like rehearsing every day a lot, trying to relearn our new record that's coming out that's out, and remember all of our other songs. So it's kind of a big song list. So like, yeah, I'm very happy to be speaking with you, but I apologize if I seem a little fried. I've got a lot of music swinging around in my head right now.
Yeah, I'll just start throwing random note combinations and melodies at you and do my best to put you off your game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You will. You definitely will.
All right, no, I will try and avoid that. So, yeah, as you said, a new album that is just out called The Adjacent Possible. It's the first record you've put out in, well, a little while. It's been, what, over 10 years since the last record, Hungry Ghosts?
Yeah, just it's yeah, right around 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah.
So I
Too
know,
long.
yeah, too
Too
long
long.
for the people that are eager for your creative output. I know there's a million different things that could cause it and be attributed to. But I, got to wonder, with it being 10 years since your last release,
Yeah.
was it the pressure to write new, better, and catchier songs, or was it just having to think up film clip ideas?
Uh, neither in both. I would say neither in both. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. We put Hungry Ghosts out, which is our fourth record in 2015, I think it is. And then we went on tour and made like six or seven videos for that record. And our videos take like 4 to 6 months to make. And so we essentially kind of like stayed on tour and promoted that record for like 4 years. Um, and so from like 2015 to like the end of 2018, kind of a little bit into 2019, we were still making videos for that record. And if we weren't making videos, we were somewhere touring basically. So that gets you that takes care of 4 years, 4 or 5 years. And in 2019, we then started building a show that's separate from our live show, or sorry, separate from our club show, which is something that we would do in like performance art centers, and we live scored our videos, meaning that like the videos would play behind us and we would sit in front of it and play the music live to the picture. And that's like a seated all ages event. It's more like a theatrical experience. And so we were just kind of starting to develop that show and go out and play it here in the States. And then the pandemic hit. uh, and we all had to stay at home. Our guitarist, Andy Ross, had kids in this time period. Damien, the singer in our band, also had kids. So there was a little bit of a time period where like they really needed to be at home and be with their families and stuff like that. All the time we were all writing and passing demos back to each other. So, we didn't really stop. We're the only ones who know that though. You know what I mean? Like I feel like to anyone, to anyone who pays attention to the band, I think it feels like we took a break for 10 years, but in actuality, we really didn't. Some of us had some other projects we were doing at the time as well. Damien and his wife directed a film for Apple. I acted in a film that's coming out next year. Dan, our drummer, is a producer and a mixer, and our guitarist Andy is a programmer. So, we did have other projects going on, but the whole time we were working on demos for what has become and the adjacent possible. So that's kind of what happened.
Sounds like there's been plenty to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Most other bands don't have to sort of deal with these, yeah, two-sided, you know, pincer attacks of pressures or
Mm.
pressure that you, well, it's your own fault, really. You're the guys who did this to yourself by not only making these amazingly catchy tunes, but these mind-blowing videos. So personally, what do you feel more pressure on the side of? Is it more about the writing of the music, or do you feel greater pressure about trying to come up and outdo the last video that you made?
These days, I would say, the pressure we feel is mostly about wanting to make something that feels uniquely us, like something that just feels as close to something that only we could make, and that's been the videos the whole time, I think. I think I don't know any other band that is interested in making videos the way we make videos. Every once in a while, a band will approach us and say, like, would you think about making a video? And we're like, well, do you have 6 months? It's like no, nobody wants to put that kind of time and thought and care into it in the way that we do. So, the pressure isn't really to top ourselves either musically or visually. It's really like about wanting to create something that's going to feel emotional and is going to feel like only we could have done this. Um, and so I think that goes for the music and that goes for the videos. So it's not so much a pressure as it is like we want to keep ourselves challenged, we want to keep ourselves excited, and yeah, it's important to us that these things feel like something to the people who are experiencing them.
With the time that you spent behind the scenes working on this that nobody saw in the 10 years between the albums, one of the coolest things for me
Mm.
is getting to actually see the behind the scenes of the clips that you guys make. You put out a lot of different videos really showing and detailing the amount of work, effort, love, timing, uh, everything
Yeah.
that goes into these clips. It's an incredible amount of work. So on one side, like there's so many questions I potentially want to ask about the creation of the clips. On the other side, a lot of that information's readily available for people that want to go out and see and discover this.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, we made so much behind the scenes for our new video that's called Love, which we shot in Budapest about a month and a half ago. And it's a one take video with mirrors and kaleidoscopes that we um, have the assistance of robots to help us make very precise optical illusions with mirrors, essentially. And we made so much behind the scenes footage for that because there is just such a massive undertaking and project that required like a robotics team and like, incredible set designers and just like, yeah, we really had such an awesome group of people to collaborate with. It seemed from like I think there were like 5 or 6 different languages being spoken on set. We had people from all over the place who would like come to help work on this, and we shot it in this like sort of fading glory of a like train station in Budapest that was like from the like 18th century, and it's just kind of an incredible sort of felt like an elegant Willy Wonka of sorts, or something like that. So we have a lot of behind the scenes for that video. Um, yeah, we ourselves are so curious in process and process-based things, and we like showing people how things were made. It's like really okay for us in our videos for people to like sometimes see the crew and peek behind the curtain and see in love we even sort of show you how the trick is made before you see the trick, you know. That so kind of so you can understand that like this isn't special effects, you know, this isn't like what you are witnessing is an actual event, and we're putting as little between the lens and your eyes so that you can kind of feel like you're in the room with us, you know. And I think our whole approach to filmmaking has always been from this perspective of like we were a band first, and most of what we did was in a live setting. And so, like I think all we have in the beginning was sort of be able to use a camera to help us recreate something that hopefully feels kind of live, that hopefully feels like this event that you're watching right in front of you. And that's like the earliest ideas that I don't think we even realized at the time, but like, us dancing in Damien's backyard for A Million Ways to Be Cruel, or us on treadmills, where the camera is static and we're doing all the movement and choreography within the frame. The camera doesn't even move, I remember when we started moving the camera actually for This Too Shall Pass, the Rube Goldberg machine. I remember thinking like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think we're sort of cheating when we move the camera. You know what I mean? But like, but still, we were still kind of into the whole like doing it in one take kind of kind of aesthetic. Yeah. So in any event, yeah, it's we like making a lot of behind the scenes stuff so that you can kind of get a sense of what it took to make this event in the first place.
Yeah, it's really cool the way that you kind of keep upping the level of the technology that's being used in these clips that you're making, but it still comes down to, as you said as well, like the premise is a very practical effect, and that it's all real,
Yeah.
what's unfolding and happening in front of the camera.
To the extent that we collaborate with technology and things like that, I mean, it's always in service of creating a superhuman moment, like creating a human emotional like experience, you know what I mean? And so like, yeah, I mean that's what I think the use of the robots in this, I think, was to like a great effect in that way because they helped us to kind of to move these mirrors in ways that like we just couldn't, just it would we just couldn't do it.
And another great usage of technology in the film clips for this, the record that you put out was for A Stone Only Rolls Downhill, and using all of the phones to make that film clip. My question around that one, however, is did it spoil what you were giving everybody for their birthday that year?
We didn't get to keep the phones, if that's what you mean. Yeah.
We got 64 phones lying around. What are you going to do?
No, I know. Yes, Apple loaned us the phones. And yeah, but we had to give them back. Yeah, it's 64 phones, and each phone has its own individual uh, live take in it that helps to create a sort of a big mosaic essentially. And I guess we sort of feel like life feels crazy these days, and it sort of feels like we are living in a split screen of like what life looks like immediately in front of us and what we take in the media, and all of that, and it feels like we're living in such crazy times, and this was a visual way. We felt it was sort of a visual way to kind of represent the sort of like the split screens that we all seem to be living in these days.
No, absolutely true. Well, Tim, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. We've got the new album that we can enjoy now. Sounds like, yeah, you're about to go out on a tour. We're in Australia, so hopefully at some stage we see you getting down here. We would love to have you. But thank you again so much for having a chat with us today. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me. We'll be there in 2026.
Ah, sick. All
Yeah,
right. Well, I will get to see you live and not through a screen then.
I know, and I really look forward to that.